Welcome to episode 3 of Armoring for Cosplay. In the last couple episodes, we talked about how to hit things with hammers and what kind of tools you're going to need. Today, I'm going to talk a bit about materials. What I'm going to be working with for this project and this demonstration is 18 gauge 3003 sheet aluminum. So let me grab a sheet of that. So that's what it looks like. And getting material is probably going to be the hardest part of these projects. I'm really fortunate that I have a store nearby that will sell it to me in whatever size I need. But very often, finding a supplier that will sell it to you in more than 1 foot square and less than a ton can be challenging. So good luck on that side. But when you do find that sort of store, you're going to find that there's a lot more variety in metal than you would ever have imagined. And every kind of metal has a number code associated with it, which describes its alloying elements. And if you go in and ask for steel or aluminum, they'll go what kind, and what size, and what thickness. And those can be difficult questions. What I'm going to recommend starting with is this stuff, which is 3003 sheet aluminum and 18 gauge. And gauge describes the thickness of your material. For reference, just trying to focus on my face. It's very helpful. And 18 gauge is about as thick as you're going to want to go for costuming armor. Most of what I work with is 20 gauge steel. It's a bit thinner, and steel, being steel, is a bit harder to work with. The reason you might want to start with aluminum is it's much easier to move around. So if you're not used to hitting things with hammers and you are worried about getting frustrated, it's easy to start with. It's also really cheap. You can get it to have quite a shine on it and look very metally. It will always look a little bit gray, or lighter gray, when compared with steel. A very slight color difference in it, based on your preference. If you are going to go with steel, make sure you get mild steel if you're just starting out. The steel that you might use to make a proper combat suit of armor is different, but it's also a lot harder to work with, and you really need to have fancy heat-treating equipment to take advantage of any of the differences. And you can do a lot and make totally viable combat armor out of mild steel. So, there you go. If you really get into it, you can also start working with other materials. So, I do a bunch of work with brass, and everything that I say here is also going to work with brass. But there's other things you have to consider when you start working with brass and steel, like annealing, and you need heat and blowtorches. With aluminum, you don't need any of that. There you go. That's a quick rundown of materials. In our next episode, I'm actually going to start making a thing.